we are now going to be focusing on, what is this? Don't say an eagle, that's an eagle. But whose seal is this?
Supreme.
Yes, the Supreme Court of the United States. Now, shortened, what is it?
So,
SCOTUS, very good. So whenever I say SCOTUS, I'm talking about the Supreme Court of the United States, okay? Alright, so, the Supreme Court, which is one of the three branches, right? What are the other two?
Legislative.
Very good, yes, legislative and executive. According to the triangle, of whom do they all check and balance each other out?
each other.
It was a triangle that all of you kids drew. And on each point of the triangle
other?
was every branch.
What? Aren't they just pointing to each other?
They check and balance each other out. Well, what's the triangle called?
Oh.
Very good, the Madisonian model. Okay, so there are 9 justices in the Supreme Court. The Constitution, did it say that there should be 9 justices in the Supreme Court? If you remember? Did it say how many people should be in the Supreme Court? No. No. Did it say any numbers at all? No, it did not, okay? We actually started off with a lot more than 9, and then we're like, ooh, that's too much. So we went down to 5, and then we're like, you know what, that's too little. So we settled on 9. Why is it not an even number?
Because it just be a tiebreaker.
Right, we need a tiebreaker,
So smart.
right? Okay, so as I said, there have gone from being 5 members to the Supreme Court to being 10 justices throughout the first years of the US, but then they were like, this is too much of a household, okay, let's just land on a number that is good, that it's odd, and that it's not too overwhelming. Which means that at any point, they can change the amount of people that there are in the Supreme Court, right? The president can put this forward, but can the president himself change it?
No.
No, who has to do it? Yes, Congress, because they're the ones who make the laws, right? I know it is not that apparent right now in this administration that that's how it should work, but that's how it should work. Now, unfortunately, everything that I'm teaching you right now is like the perfect world, right? It is not right now, because right now we're sliding into fascism, right? So, doesn't really apply, but it is still important so that you know how it should be working. So, in 1869, Congress set the number of seats to 9. What happened? What ended in 1865?
Civil War.
Very good, someone said it, who said that? Good job, yes, the Civil War ended in 1865, so 4 years later, was Lincoln alive?
No.
No, he got assassinated in 1865. Rick Lincoln, right? So he was not around to see when Congress set the number of seats to 9. There have been many a president who has wanted to pack the court. What do you think that means? Yeah, make it bigger, put more people in the court. And Congress has always said, let's not do that. One very famous example was FDR. Who's FDR? Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And what was his whole thing? What did he do? Yes, very good, the New Deal. During what era in America?
World War II? World War I?
Before, kind of. Before World War I.
Great Depression.
Yes, very good, the Great Depression. Good job. Alright, so the main justice is called the Chief Justice, not the Chief of Justice, right? It is the Chief Justice. And they are chosen by the president. And they actually retain their position until they die, or until they retire. So they are the ones in charge of choosing cases, and if there is ever an impeachment of a president, they're the ones who preside over it. So they're the ones in charge. Now, our current Chief Justice refused to do his duty when they were trying to impeach the president that we have right now in 2017, I believe. He said, yeah, I'm not gonna do that, which is the reason, and one of the reasons that it fell apart, and he was never impeached. cares about the Constitution, right? Children. Don't forget to highlight. Oh, also, based off of the new seats, if you cannot see from far, please let me know. I forgot to say that yesterday. So if you need to move closer up, let me know and I'll like switch the seats around. But besides that, that's it, that's your seat, okay? Okay, so who are our justices? Does anyone know one name? No? No one? That's fine. Alright, so our chief justice is like, his name is like, you're going to see. This is very basic. John Roberts. He was nominated in 2005. So then we have our associate justices, who are the rest of the Supreme Court. Right? Clarence Thomas, 1981. Yeah, he's been around for quite some time. Samuel Alito, 2005. When were you kids born? 2008? 7? Oh, so you weren't even alive when these people went on. Thanks. Sonia Sotomayor, 2009. Elena Kagan, 2009.
Why there's so many associates going on?
Neil Gorsuch, 2017. The scum of the earth, Brett Kavanaugh, 2018. Another person, Amy Coney Barrett, 2020. And the only nomination Biden did, because they didn't let him do another one, is Ketanji Brown Jackson in 2022. He was supposed to be able to get this nomination, but Congress said, sorry, you can't do that, even though he totally could. So, these people right now are in charge of making sure that all the laws that are being passed are constitutional. Now, Roberts is a Republican. Clarence Thomas is a Republican. Alito is kind of a moderate. He kind of goes whichever way he really wants. Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, Democrat, a liberal, I guess. These three very conservative, and Cassandra Brown Jackson, liberal. So how many liberals do we have in our court?
2.5.
2.5?
You said that one of them was like a unit.
Oh, 3.5, because it's 1, 2, 3, kind of. So, that means that there are how many in the conservative side? Right. So, for the most part, the Supreme Court sides with the conservatives. And they've been around for, well, these people have been around for quite some time. And they are gonna be around for your entire lifetime. Most likely. So this is the Supreme Court. This is how it looks inside. So this is where they sit. This is where the clerks sit, this is where they write everything down. And over here is where the petitioner and the respondents sit. And these are our justices. So this is John Roberts, this is Clarence Thomas, this is Samuel Alito, this is Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, Amy, Neil, this moron, and Brad, and Cassandra Brown Jackson. So these are the people in charge of our laws. This guy wants to eliminate different races being able to get married. Considering his wife is Asian. Like, that's weird. This lady is very, very pro-life. This guy allegedly, but for sure, is a rapist. Had many allegations against him. And Congress was like, he was a college kid. And they let him become justice anyway. I don't really have anything bad to say about this guy. He just doesn't do anything. This guy's and then this guy's just, a basic Republican white dude with a lot of power. Her, and her are really the only people I trust in our Supreme Court. But again, it's 3 of them, right? And sometimes. It's pretty bad. So, SCOTUS term begins on the first Monday in October. So they kind of have like a school year, if you will. Except that instead of starting in August like we do, they start in October. And they run through late June or early July. So they do kind of have like a summer break-ish. Like they're still kind of working, I guess. But they're not really deciding anything. They're just kind of catching up on laws and just anything like that. So if you want to have a summer break and like a school year, become a Supreme Court justice. Easy peasy. Yeah. He wants to come back in. That was a mouth, right? Not why did he not come back in? Oh.
Yeah, it's about good. Oh, shit.
Thank you. Who's in trouble? I'll give it to them. Kids remind me, please. Okay, so we have 2 different, I guess, schedules, if you will. We have the sittings. There are 9 justices in the court chamber. This is where they hear cases, right? Like the oral arguments. Much like how you kids did during the court. They have from when they hear it first, all the way until June to deliver their opinions. Yes, they have a very long time. Now, the reason for that is because once they make their decision, it becomes a precedent. What does precedent mean?
Like it's like a case that you can use in further
Yes,
cases.
and it applies nationwide, right? So, for example, in California and in other certain states, Prop 8 was this big thing. Does anyone remember? I doubt it. But do you know what Prop 8 was?
No.
No, you were not even, you didn't have a conscious mind at the time. It was like 2007, 2008.
We weren't even born. Like, we were.
Yeah, again, I know. So Prop 8 was same-sex marriage, and only certain states have it. However, when the Supreme Court decided, yeah, let's just let everyone marry, and who cares, honestly, and anyone was able to get married, it happened nationwide. So all states now, it wasn't illegal for you to get married with someone of the same sex. It used to be. You would have to go to other states or even outside the country to get married and then be able to come back and, not get arrested or anything. It's crazy to me. Like, what the hell? So this is the reason why their decisions are so important, because it affects every single person in our nation, right? And it becomes a precedent. So in the future, justices will be like, oh, well, they did it here, so then we have to follow what they did. Usually, not always. They can overturn or override cases. Then we have recess. Not recess from elementary school, okay, the justices are not out there playing featherball. They kind of get a break from hearing the arguments. And they discuss kind of just what they've heard with each other. And they also consider amicus curiae briefs. Now, these Latin words, I'm telling you right now, will come up in the quiz, will come up in the exams. So you need to know what they are. So, a very good way to remember this, amicus, this essentially means friends of the court, right?
Amigos.
So, amicus curiae briefs are people who are, I wanna say like experts. So let's say the court case has to do with the environment, right? The justices maybe don't really know a lot about the environment, so they bring in experts to kind of get their information. Does anyone know Caso Cerrado? Okay, so you know how sometimes she has experts, or like a psychologist or something? So those are friends of the court, right? They're coming in to give their expert opinion. In this particular case, they write out their opinion, and they give it to the court so that they can kind of know what's going on. This is also when they write their opinions, which are quite lengthy. Alright, now, SCOTUS is primarily an appellate court. And that is very, very important for you to know the difference between just like a regular court and an appellate court. So they are an appeal court. So they have around 10,000 appeals every term, right? So they get all of these things. So essentially, let's say this is the city, this is the state, and here's the Fed, and then here's SCOTUS. Right? Okay, so let's say your court case starts in the city. They decide something that you don't like, you appeal it to the state. They decide something that you don't like, you appeal it to SCOTUS. No case ever really originates in SCOTUS, unless it has to do with like ambassadors or foreign ministers or anything like that. For the most part, it's an appeal. Of the 10,000 that they get, because they get so many every term, about 100 are heard, because they don't have time to hear every single case, obviously. And even these 100, they don't really get to all of them. So, as I said, an appeal is whenever the losing party files kind of like a request so that it goes up. And It can get to SCOTUS, but again, it's not guaranteed, obviously, because of the 10,000, only 100 are heard. I don't know what percentage that is, but I'm pretty sure it's a very low percentage. Someone do the math really quickly in your head, try to figure out what that percentage is. Now, the appeal has to be based on a constitutional basis. It can't just be, oh, I don't like this person. Okay, that's why you go to Judge Judy, right? You don't go to SCOTUS. So it has to be something that has to do with the Constitution, and will it affect the entire life of all the people in the United States? There's something called the rule of 4. You don't need the majority for this. So they ask themselves, can